Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalra, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at mages, as mages actually got a pretty decent update. So this isn't one of those updates where mages are getting insane amounts of rotational changes. Arcane is still going to play the way it's been playing, Frost is still going to be all about Frostbolt procs, and Fire is still going to be all about igniting enemies and bursting them down with crits. What they are changing, however, in this recent build is they're still going around and trying to fix a bunch of specs and trying to adjust them, and I feel like Arcane Mages got actually pretty interesting adjustments. Mostly an honor talent that was originally an honor talent Legion getting added as a baseline talent into the spec. And I absolutely love when they do that because some of the honor talents offer such interesting and different ways to play, but here it might be, yeah, more or less of that, but more or less is really emphasized. It depends, it's really just different. So I want to take a look at the Arcane Mage, see what is new. Now the first talent that we'll take a look at is Arcane Anomaly. At any moment you are either able to gain Arcane Power, Evocation, or randomly 4 Arcane Charges. That's a lot of random chances. So first of all, I want to obviously slot it into this talent to see just how often it procs. That's one of the changes, and I want to talk about it, what it does within the row, and talk about abilities in terms of rows and what is new. So the first talent is called Reverberate. It is the new one right here. If Arcane Explosion hits at least 3 targets, it has a 50% chance to generate an extra charge. And that's exactly what it is here, because I have the Wowhead option, or I have the Wowhead tooltips of all the changes, and I'm trying to compare in here in-game to see if they're any different. Oh look, I just randomly got for just a second a little bit of that evocation. Interesting. I don't really know what to say. I just gained mana. Okay, at any moment you're able to... I wonder what is the RNG of this. Well, I got something just now. I'm not sure what I just got. Oh, I guess I got 4 Arcane Charges. Didn't I? Well, I guess might as well spend them. If I have them, might as well spend them. So the Reverberate is going to be pretty interesting. Let me head over to the PvE train dummies that are over here. So this whole row is also, I guess, accompanied by this talent as well. Touch of the Magi. Touch of the Magi. Arcane Blast has a 10% chance to apply Touch of the Magi, accumulating 20% of its damage dealt to the target for 8 seconds, and exploding with that amount of arcane damage to the target and all nearby enemies. So this is really an artifact talent that was added to the spec. And I kind of like it because I can kind of see what they're going for as the AoE tree. So, yep, just got randomly 4 charges. Might as well spend them. I'm getting random time anomalies, so might as well spend them. So, okay, let's test out how good these abilities are. So normally, if Arcane hits at least 3 targets, there's a 50% chance to generate an Arcane Charge. So if I'm hitting here just 1 target, yes, I'm able just to generate 1 charge at a time. Nothing major. Just 1 charge at a time. But if I'm hitting a bunch of enemies here, 2 charges, 3 charges, 4 charges, barrage, 1 charge, 2 charges, an extra barrage. I'm pretty sure what a lot of people will do. Oh, I randomly gain 4 charges with Time Anomaly. So Time Anomaly is getting me random buffs. So look, I got 2 buffs, 3 buffs. I think if you are going to be running this talent for AoE to get as much use out of these charges, you'll want to use it at about 3, just to make sure that in case you're getting that 4th. Yeah, so if you're at 2 charges, you just want Arcane, like a 2 charges I am right here, you'll just want to use Arcane Explosion once. Whether you get 3 charges or 4 charges, just to make it as more value in terms of mana and mana efficiency, I think you'll want to cash it in at 3 charges. Or if you get to this situation where you can get 4. So this is actually pretty cool. I like this a little bit of randomness, and I got Arcane Power from Time Anomaly. So out of all the things I got out of Time Anomaly, it looks like I'm getting the 4 charges of Arcane Power gotten once, and Invocation I've gotten once. So the randomness of these, I wonder if there's... I'll talk about stability in a little bit, but I wonder how far the randomness goes with this. So Reverberate is a pretty interesting talent. I kind of like it. It's pretty good for AoE. I don't really know if it'll be more than that. Just a basic AoE talent. Hey, Evocation. Got that one twice now. Alrighty, what else is there? Touch of the Magi. I'm gonna keep saying that one wrong. It's the same ability you had as an honor talent. Or not as an honor talent. As a artifact trait for your weapon. So I got Touch of the Magi. So what I'm going to do is just keep slamming the enemy with Arcane Blast back to back to back, and when it expires, it'll hit enemies for that amount in an AoE. So this is a little bit extra bursty damage that you can get yourself as an Arcane Mage for AoE evocation. So I have like, what, 3 evocations, 3 times I got 4 Arcane Charges, if not 4, and then 1 Arcane Power. So maybe, I'll talk about this in a second. But Touch of Magi, I'm gonna call it multiple different things. I don't know what you're supposed to call it. I guess I'll call it Magi. I want to call it Maggie for whatever reason. So this ability is actually not that bad. I guess it's cool to have it added. I'm just confused why it's in this row. So you see, Legion and the way that it was structured, in Legion, the way you combine your talents, there's a whole talent row. Like each ability, you could have, let's say, one single target, one AoE, one cleavey. A lot of people can either go for like a very cleavey build, very AoE build, very single target. In BFA, however, so that's 3 evocations. In BFA, however, it looks like they're putting single target versus single target, utility versus mobility kind of deal, damage components versus damage component, CC versus CC of sorts, or I guess utility in some sense, CC versus CC, AoE versus AoE, burst, single target slash burst versus single target, cleave mechanic. So what we have right here is, obviously at level 100, Overpowered is all about trying to maximize the effectiveness of your arcane power. So this allows you to generate charges faster and be more efficient since everything costs less mana and things hit harder. Time Anomaly can grant you random any of the resources, either mana, which is your resource, either charges, which is your resource, or arcane power, which baseline arcane power reduces the cost of your abilities. So this is a resource row. An arcane orb being insta-cast, barely any mana, deals decent damage, will generate an arcane charge, and 20-second cooldown. So this is something you can throw out the enemy, can be used in cleave target, can be used in single target, but mostly it's all about the resources. How do you play with resources? Do you want to have control? Do you want to completely randomize your resources? Or have somewhat of control, mostly all about arcane charges, and really not playing around too much with mana effectiveness? Because this is a pretty cheap ability on its own. 545 mana versus Arcane Blast, which with no charges has a pretty low cost. And if we were to build it up to 4 Arcane Charges, or Arcane Blasts, we have now a cost at about 7,500. So this is going to get pretty mana expensive. But chucking one Arcane Orb for a decent chunk of damage is less expensive. Something you can do on the move, instant cast, it can pass through a bunch of enemies. So that's kind of what I'm trying to say. It looks like in BFA, they're trying to put a bunch of these abilities together to compete against one another, right? That's what I really don't understand. Okay, so that's 2 arcane powers, still counting these. So in level 19 row, this is supposed to be your AoE row. But Reverberate is an obvious AoE choice in terms of how many targets you're going to hit. Nether Tempest is a pretty good AoE option. You place another Tempest on an enemy, he'll deal arcane damage to them, and it will split arcane damage to others within 10 yards, and damage is increased based on how many arcane charges you have. But still, this is a plain AoE with some single target component dot-based issue, or dot-based component. This is plain AoE in terms of generating more arcane charges. Touch of the Magi secures its spot as a pure single target ability, and that's what I personally think. Because you're going to be arcane blasting enemies anyway. So in terms of, I guess, cleave or single target, it really doesn't give you that many options. What I really like about how Blizzard combined these abilities is it feels that there's actually options, but this one feels more situational. So this might be maybe insanely good for cleave AoE. This might be good for 3+ targets if you're running Mythic Plus with a bunch of mobs in there. Fully AoE fight. This is fully single target. So instead of having you options that a lot of the other classes have, it seems like with Arcane Mage they added some awesome talents that will change the gameplay, but they are still reducing more of the options, so this is a more situational role. And I mean, it's not bad. This is good for Arcane Mages. You can have a good single target build with a touch of the Magi, maybe Time Anomaly, or more control with Overpowered. Reverberate together with Arcane Orb could be really strong. Nether Tempest with Arcane Orb could be pretty good for Cleavey. Overpowered and Nether Tempest could be really strong together, as you could have a little bit more burst, you know, stay in that Arcane 4 Arcane Charges with Overpowered for a lot longer. Stuff like this can happen. So it's good for mages in the long run. What I don't like about it is the lack of flexibility. Okay, so let's talk about these abilities. So I really do want to talk about Time Anomaly first before we talk about any of these. This ability on its own is pretty interesting. Now, so far as you can see, I'm running around, and at any moment you have a chance to gain evocation or arcane power or 4 charges, and I've been counting how many times I've gotten it. I don't think I've seen a arcane charge build up in a while, unless I got one when I built up 4 charges to show you guys, like the touch of the magic. Maybe I got one in between here, but I think I've gotten definitely more of arcane charges. I think I've gotten arcane power twice, and then I've got Arcane Evocation. So I have no idea how all these abilities are structured, and it will be interesting to see what is the % chance. Like, let's say at any moment you have a chance to gain power. I wonder if this is every 10 seconds, does it roll? Or every 20 seconds, or every 5 seconds, or even every 1 second it does roll to see if you got anything. And I wonder what are the chances for getting abilities. I wonder if all of them have exactly the same chance. Like, let's say you roll a, I don't know, let's say it's a 20% die, right? Every 10 minutes, every 20 seconds, it rolls a die. Or 10 seconds, let's say. Every 10 seconds, the game rolls a die. Does it give you an ability or doesn't give you ability? 20% chance, yes. The rest, 80% chance, no. If it rolls a yes, does it then have a percent chance? Like, does it have the 4 arcane charges? Is that a higher chance for you to get that? Or is arcane power a higher chance? Or is evocation a higher chance? Or is arcane power, like, let's say, I don't know, maybe 10% of the times you'll get arcane power, 20% of the times you'll get evocation, or 30%, and then the rest of it, if you do roll a buff, it'll end up being a 4 arcane charges. I guess that's kind of what I'm trying to ask here. I'm trying to figure out what are the numbers here. Or is it every second completely randomized? You have a chance to get any one of these buffs. So I'm wondering what the numbers crunch is on that one, because this could be actually pretty cool. With overpowered, it really becomes functional once you have access to arcane power, which is a 1.5 minute cooldown, so you technically have it up pretty often. Arcane orb has its usefulness basically almost all the time, unless you're going for a pure single target fight. In a pure single target fight, I can't see this becoming that powerful unless arcane orb would scale with your arcane charges. This time anomaly could be actually this kind of middle ground, but the RNG of it, and I played Outlaw for the longest, so I know how some people feel about RNG. I just got 2 buffs in a short succession of one another. So I was asking myself, like, is there a random roll? How often does it rolls? I think I just have my answer just now, because I had a pretty fair succession. So let's say you're in a fight and you need mana, you need resources, you might want maybe a little bit more arcane power. This could be actually very, very interesting. So what I'm going to do is actually, I'm actually going to hit the strain dummy. Because sometimes I feel like, you know, it's a lower level, maybe it'll take more damage, less damage or whatever, but it shouldn't matter too much. So what I'm going to do, I think, is there critters nearby? I just kind of want to expend, just expend resources on this thing. So what I basically want to do is I want to start the fight, go through my rotation, see if I notice any times that I get extra buffs, and try to play through rotation over an Arcane Mage. I don't really know it all that well. I am going to play it with a touch of Magi, so we can see just how much damage it does. Well, it just got arcane power out of nowhere, so I guess I can really, I guess I can start just doing my damage. There's nothing that really stops me at this point. And we're not gonna pop Bloodlust. We're gonna pop Bloodlust. What did I just get? I got something out of here. I might have gotten the 4 charges just again out of nowhere. So I wonder if you can time it with your friends. Let's say you're doing some Mythic Pluses with your friends together and you can wait until the charge happens. Or a normal dungeon or a normal raid. I wonder if you can time it with your friends to cheese it a little bit. You know what I mean? I think that'd be pretty exciting. I think get one more and we'll go for the evocation. And once we end our evocation, I think I'll use Rune of Power. I'm pretty sure I used it wrong. Oh, we got random arcane power. Let's use it. Use it up as much as possible. Look at that burst damage coming out of nowhere. Just coming back into it. Okay, now we're conserving. Now we're all about trying to conserve it as much as possible. We'll just play our conservation play. I think what we'll do is, since we are running amplification... Yeah, you and cast clear missiles fire. Oh, okay. As I looked, I'm not running rules of 3s, which is kind of lame. I'm having amplification. Yeah, I wanted rule of 3s the whole time. Alrighty, so let's get to it. I'm just gonna we're gonna pop this, pop our burst, get as much arcane power out of here. And try to see if we can get some damage in. Maybe I want to build up the charges then go bursting. Maybe that's something I might want to do. I gained a little bit of vacation there, so now I got a little bit of extra burst out of me. So I have a little bit of mana. So I can kind of continue punishing the train dummy. My damage is definitely going down because all the burstiness out of it is getting kind of gone. Gonna build it up. I think we're gonna evocate to full mana. See if we get any procs. We're gonna follow up with some missiles, and we're gonna evocate for a little bit more. Actually, we're going to get a clear cast off. Then continue blasting for a little bit. Now we can just spend the blast. So now we're all about conserving as much damage as we possibly can. I want to see if I get any impactful ways where the game does anything for me here. So what I'm doing is, oh, I got a bit of mana here, so I guess I can get to burn a little bit of mana. That evocate for a little bit doesn't seem all that impactful, that's for sure. I mean, it's definitely nice to get your mana to max, so you can really get a few more charges in. But I don't think that's definitely going to be a huge game changer. Maybe if it was like evocate or a weaker version of evocate that lasted for a little bit, I think that would be interesting. So what I'm going to do is use rules of threes to always get a fourth, oh, lagging? DC? Do we DC again? No. I was just getting to it. Blizzard, please. Well, I guess I'm stuck here, aren't I? Alright, so I guess I'll just gonna call it here. Because the servers are not stable. But I did want to showcase you guys what mages are like. In a short time that I was able to get a mage and try out the talent and see if it does anything for me. This is how it felt to me. This is the breakdown. Getting random 4 charges during your burst feels kind of useless. Getting a little bit of evocation for a second is interesting, as it gives you a little bit of mana, but evocation doesn't give you insane amounts of mana. It's just a random mana for a little bit. The ability to get yourself your burst, your arcane power, was actually kind of interesting whenever it comes up. In some cases, forced me to, if I have, let's say, 4 charges and I get arcane power proc, just put down a rune and start slamming the enemy. So that was very, very exciting, but the other benefits, the other bonuses, I didn't really see it. Maybe I could see the little bit extra mana during an AoE hectic situation, or maybe 4 charges in an opener, or 4 charges while you're trying to AoE enemies so you can get a free barrage for a bunch of damage cleave. Then I could see it do well. So I honestly think that ability might be more for AoE, where you're not really sure if you will be able to stand still and get a cast off. But it might be very interesting in the future. The RNG of it is something I think is going to deter a lot of people from even playing it. And that's just something that I think it just happens to a lot of classes. Look at Outlaw Rogue. A lot of people were deterred because the playstyle evolved heavily around your roll the bones mechanic. Even though Outlaw Rogue is better now, roll the bones is not as effective or not as game changing. I feel a lot more people are going to be drawn to it. But with Mage, with that talent in particular, to have everything be literally stuck to your RNG, I don't think that'll be the way to go. It definitely is an interesting talent, and I would love to see the breakdown of like the percentages of what are the chances for you to get a buff, what are the chances for you to get maybe arcane power or evocation, or is it all same chance? It's just like a let's say a 20% chance to gain a buff, and then the game randomly decides what buff it is. I would love to know what I guess the numbers and the math of it is, but I guess we won't really know until more people get onto it, more people will be able to test it, and maybe they'll have more of explicit numbers out for us to take a look at. But overall, I think it's good. I think it's good that Arcane Mages is getting changes. I think it helps standardize the spec a little bit. I think the AoE row is a little bit leading in terms of what you'll end up playing as a Arcane Mage. So I don't really like the talents and rows that are leading. I really like it when they give you a lot of options and a lot of freedom to choose what you want to do with yourself. So that's interesting, and it's good that there's changes, but I don't know if this is enough for me to maybe start picking up Arcane Mage. Hope you enjoyed. Was hoping I'd show you guys a little bit more, but I gotta get ready for a raid, and I'm not an Arcane Mage main, so I don't really care that much about Mage, but I did want to showcase you guys everything. So if you are a Mage main, please go ahead and let me know what are your thoughts. I'd like to hear from you guys that if you are going to even maybe play Arcane or even play Mage off of these changes. Let me know all that in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see all of you in another video.